Tata Motors, the PV stock, as the CV and PVs get demerged. PV is ending at 402. Let's take a look at Tata Motors CV as well. CV is ending at 330. That's a 26% gain. And speaking of new entrants on the street, Groww had a fantastic first session. Over a 30% gain coming in on Groww as well. Well, final settlement would be around closer to 30%. So that's been the story on the large cap screen. But even on the broader market side, Prashant, I guess not too many disappointments. A lot of earnings getting a big thumbs up from the market today.
You know, it's a really long list of and I can spot about 15 names with humongous volumes, right? On the upside, as you say. And we'll highlight some of the gainers on markets forward, right? I mean, so it's a wrap on this edition of Closing Bell from all of us here. Goodbye. Thanks very much for staying with us. But Mayuresh is going to be with you, and we'll take you through markets forward in just a bit.
Markets gain for the third straight day, making all-round gains. Broader markets improve in line with the benchmark. Market breadth favors advances.
Asian Paints makes a big comeback, reports volume growth of nearly 11%, net profit surges 46% to over 1,000 crores, delivering an all-round beat in the second quarter.
Online trading firm Groww lists at a 12% premium on Dalal Street. The market capitalization hits 82,000 crore on the very first day. Tata Motors commercial vehicle arm lists at a 28% premium.
Weeks after Melly Mysteries ouster, Noel Tata's son Neville is inducted into the board of the flagship Sir Dorabji Tata Trust. Former Titan MD Bhaskar Bhatt also appointed as a trustee. Venu Srinivasan's tenure revised from life term to 3 years in light of a new Maharashtra law. Hello and welcome to Markets Forward, your go-to show where we aim to get you all of the key data points to gear you up for the next trading day. I'm Ekta Batra and with me is Reema Tendulkar. Well, Reema, what a great day for us. We're building on gains, 3 straight days of gains for our markets and the Nifty up around 180 odd points. We also had the Bank Nifty and the mid-caps gain in today's trading session.
I think the exit poll results and the resounding majority for NDA perhaps provided that support to the investor sentiment. Global markets were also upbeat, and IT has been the big winner this week. The Nifty IT index was up 2% for the week so far. It's gained nearly about 5% on hopes of Fed rate cuts, the US government shutdown coming to an end, perhaps India-US trade deal getting signed. So that provided support on the way up. And then you had so much positive momentum coming in from the primary markets too. Look at the kind of ending for Groww. It opened at 12%, but by the close of it, it was a handsome 25% plus premium on Groww. Tata Motors CV had a very strong debut. So all that contributed to the overall exuberance in the market, positive advance decline ratio too.
Yes, absolutely. And we had Asian Paints, which really came back in terms of its numbers in today's trading session, adding to that momentum towards the end of the earnings season as well as for the trading session today. But let's tell you a lineup of what we have in store for you. We'll start with the top movers and shakers of the day with Vivek Iyer. A couple of listings drove the action in today's trade. Tata Motors commercial vehicles business made a strong debut on Dalal Street, while Groww also saw positive momentum, listing at a 12% premium. We'll also put the spotlight on the top mid-cap earnings that made headlines. Last but not least, we'll delve into the key market events to watch out for in tomorrow's trading session.
All right, let's get to our first segment of the day. Vivek is now joining in at the big wall with the top movers and shakers. Vivek.
Well, thank you so much for that. What a session. Stellar rally, advances far outpacing declines across the entire universe, meet the large cap, mid cap, as well as the small cap space. Individual stocks, well, the one sector you can't look past is actually the IT pack. The entire IT pack did very well in the session. Tech Mahindra, TCS, Infosys amongst the top Nifty gainers in the broad end of markets. Mid-cap IT names, LTI, Emphasis did very well in the session. A lot of results and strong reactions to that. Kirloskar Oil Engine, in line with its peer Cummins, delivered a very strong Q2. Kirloskar ended higher by over 12%. Naukri, this particular stock, Info, actually managed to gain post Q2. The vertical, especially when you're talking about the Naukri vertical itself, did quite well on the back of that stock ended higher by over 2.5%. Aavas Financials, very strong disbursement growth in Q2, stock higher by over 5%. And Biocon, while the results were largely in line, the street is expecting a corporate action as far as the Biocon Biologics is concerned. Stock ended higher by over 5% after the interaction the management had with us. On the other hand, quite a few negative reactions as well. PI Industries, a muted conference call in terms of the guidance that the management gave for H2, expecting a recovery only in the second half of FY27. Post that, it saw a very sharp sell-off. Thermax, a very muted Q2, a lot of one-offs, and the stock ended low by over 3%. Hindustan Copper was the top mid-cap laggard in the session. And lastly, Hindustan Aeronautics, that particular stock, the results came towards the end of the session. Stock ended low by over 2%, higher provisioning denting this particular P&L.
Okay, all right, Vivek, thanks very much for that. Well, the big story towards the close of trade was Asian Paints making a big comeback, reporting a whopping volume growth of nearly 11%. Net profit surged 46% to over 1,000 crores, delivering an all-round beat in the second quarter. Mangalam is here to tell us more about the numbers. Mangalam.
Well, it's an incredible set of numbers that have come in from Asian Paints. The only thing that you can say is that the giant is back, and how. 11% volume growth. The street was working with a number of 4 to 5%. In fact, the management themselves had guided for high single-digit sort of volume growth coming in and double-digit in the second half of this year. In the second quarter itself, the company has gone ahead and reported a double-digit volume growth. My sense is a large part of that volume growth would have come from the lower-end products as well, because, it's an 11% volume growth. The revenue hasn't grown as much, though it's above street expectations, but it's not grown in line with volumes, which tells you that a lot of the lower priced products are doing a lot better. And typically in monsoons, what happens is that the exterior paints don't sell as much, interior paints sell a little more, and that exactly is not as value accretive as, say, some of the exterior paints as well. The EBITDA as well as the net profit, all of them above street expectations. So just 3 words: top-down beat for Asian Paints. And add to all of this, the belief that competitive intensity is now going to be coming down, or if anything, Birla Opus is not a disruptor anymore, more like an incumbent. So going forward, things are seeming a lot more comfortable. The stock itself, versus a 5-year average of 60 times, trading at close to around 51 times. Street likes it, and the stock has spiked.
Okay, all right, Mangalam, thanks very much for that. Well, Tata Motors demerged commercial vehicles business debuted on the bourses. The stock listed at 335 rupees per share, reflecting a 28% premium over its discovered price of 260 rupees. We did speak to Girish Wagh, who is the Executive Director, Tata Motors, who shared insights on how this listing could make a strategic shift for the company.
Listing as a separate entity gives us now sharper strategic focus, freedom to look at opportunities which are tailor-made for the commercial vehicle business. And looking ahead, we will keep on exploring opportunities which are close to the commercial vehicle and the logistics business. If I may also add, in the past few years, we have driven some strategic shifts in the company which have led to good results in terms of strong margin growth, robust free cash flows, and high return on capital employed.
Speaking of Tata, the trusts have named Neville Tata and Bhaskar Bhatt as the new trustees. They've joined the board of Sir Dorabji Tata Trust for a term of 3 years. Meanwhile, Venu Srinivasan's lifetime tenure as a trustee and vice chairman has been revised to a 3-year term. This is in compliance with a new Maharashtra government rule that limits the number of lifetime trustees. Mangalam is back with us to tell us more about Neville Tata, the youngest member on Tata Trust board.
The Tata legacy has just turned a page. A new generation has stepped into one of the most powerful boardrooms of India, the Tata Trusts. 32-year-old Neville Tata, son of Tata Trust Chairman Noel Tata and Alu Mistry, has been appointed as the trustee of the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust, effective November 12th. His appointment marks a generational shift in the trust that controls 28% of Tata Sons, which is the holding company of the Tata Group. Born into one of India's most respected business families, Neville represents the next wave of Tata leadership. He is the grandson of Simon Tata and the grandnephew of Ratan Tata. Educated at Bayes Business School in London, Neville holds a degree in business management, bringing with him an international perspective and a modern retail sensibility. He began his career with Trent Limited, the Tata Group's retail arm, in 2016. Over the years, he has worked across Trent's businesses, from packaged food and beverages to leading Star Bazaar, which is the group's grocery retail venture. In fact, he's also played a key role in the success of Zudio, which is the fast-growing value fashion chain that has become one of India's most talked-about retail stories and added a lot of value to Trent, which eventually took the stock into Nifty as well. Joining Neville as a new trustee is Bhaskar Bhatt, the former managing director of Titan, who steered the company through a golden era of retail expansion between 2000 and 2020. The trust has also reappointed TVS Motors chairman Venu Srinivasan as the vice chairman for a 3-year term after revising its structure to comply with the new regulatory norms that cap the number of permanent trustees at 1/4 of a public charity board's strength. Following this change, Noel Tata now remains the only permanent trustee of the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust. The other trustees include Vijay Singh, Pramit Jhaveri and Darius Khambata. Together with the Sir Ratan Tata Trust and the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust. Both of them hold a combined 66% stake in Tata Sons, giving it commanding influence over the Tata Group's holding company. With Neville Tata's induction, the trust signals continuity with change, strengthening governance while bringing in the next generation of Tata leadership. From Jamsetji to JRD, from Ratan to Noel, and now Neville, the Tata story enters its next chapter.
Okay, absolutely, Mangalam. Thanks very much for that. So the next gen at Tata. Well, those were the top stock movers and news for today. Let's go across to our guests. We have Mayuresh Joshi, who's joining in, and Shrikant Chauhan also to give us their perspective. Mayuresh as well as Shrikant, welcome to the show. Well, Mayuresh, a lot of changes taking place in the Tata Group. What is your sense in terms of how you would approach stocks within the Tata space?
Afternoon, I think this group has always been a beacon of corporate governance, a beacon of industry-leading positioning as far as India Inc. is concerned. And therefore, I think what piece Mangalam has put out was very, very interesting. Having said that, I think Tata Motors itself, I think both the PV and the CV arms, over a longer period of time, with all the issues and hurdles that they intermittently faced, specifically over the last few months and challenges thereof, should largely start plateauing out. Therefore, this remains one solid story, both in terms of domestic growth as well as expectations of how JLR is expected to perform. I think across segments, Tata Steel, as an example, I think the expectation largely is that the green steel in Europe is expected to pick up quite meaningfully. And therefore, I think the operations both in the UK and the Netherlands, which are probably veering towards green steel, I think that should have significance as we head into the next few years. Similarly, I think within FMCG, I think Tata Consumer has a presence across multiple product categories. And therefore, I think expectations of volume and value growth to sustain over a longer period of time should probably continue. So I think, as I said, a beacon of representation of India Inc., not just in India, but on the global platforms.
Shrikant, Asian Paints, quite the comeback story now for Asian Paints. Very strong fundamentally with the volume growth at 10.9%. The stock is at a fresh high. It's recovered 30% from the recent lows. Technically, what are the levels that you have in mind?
Yeah, see, the stock has crossed all its important level in one go. It was around 2600, 2650 for a considerable time. But after crossing this level decisively with huge volumes, clearly indicates that the stock is heading for at least 3000, 3050 in the near term, which is approximately 80% retracement of the entire fall. So close to those levels, we are expecting stock to move in the near term.
Okay, all right. So that's on Asian Paints. But shares of Billion Brains Garage Ventures, which is basically the parent company of Groww, had a strong debut on the exchanges. The stock opened at a 12% premium to its issue price of 100 rupees per share. Other key capital market players like BSE, Angel One and CDSL also saw significant gains during today's trade. Sudarshan is here with details on this story. Sudarshan.
So it was a good day for capital market names. All the stocks were higher somewhere in the range of 3 to 6%. There are two reasons to it. First, Grow's healthy listing, and second, BSE's strong quarterly earnings. So first, talking about Groww. So it listed with a premium of 12%. Its issue price was rupees 100 per share. It listed at around rupees 112 per share. And at the end, it closed with a gain of almost 30%. Now, what's going forward? So currently, its broking business forms almost 83% of its total revenue, while MTF forms just in the range of 1 to 2%. Now, company is saying that MTF going forward is going to be the biggest growth driver, and its contribution is going to rise to 13 down. Now, coming to BSE. In the last 2 to 3 months, two headlines for the BSE have been going on. One was the change in the expiry day, and second, will the weekly expiry stay or go? So expiry day, when the day was changed, ahead of that, there were expectations that turnover will fall because of the change in expiry day from Tuesday to Thursday. But Surprisingly, turnover on the very first day of the change in the expiry day has risen to highest ever, that was of rupees 50,000 crore in a single day. On the weekly expiry, there have been positive comments from both SEBI chairman and finance minister. The day the comment was made, stock had gained as much as 10%, and today also stock has gained almost 6%. Now talk about the earnings. Its operating revenue has increased almost 11% on a sequential basis, and biggest contributor, transaction charges also have seen a healthy rise, but margin has seen a minor contraction of around 64 to 65 basis points, mainly because of increased regulatory charges, which increased by 26% to 126 crore. That was the main reason, but overall, it was a good set of earnings. So on the back of Grow's healthy listing and strong Q2 from BSE, all the capital market names were higher.
Mayuresh, Sudarshan, thank you. Do stay on. One more question for you. But before that, Mayuresh, if you had to recommend one capital market play, whether it's CDSL, BSE, or even any of these brokerages like an Angel One, Nuvama, Motilal, or Groww, which one would it be?
Absolutely. I think capital market participants as a play, I think should continue doing well over a long period of time. And therefore, I think the platforms itself, both BSE and MCX, as we see it at Markets with India, the rating, ranking, institution holding seem fine. As Sudarshan mentioned, I think the expectations for both the exchanges in terms of turnover should hold up. For BSE, I think more or less in line with all the expected regulatory changes did not create a big dent. And therefore, I think the expectations of stable turnover growth, along with stable annuity income and revenue expected to continue, and plateauing of transaction charges would largely mean margins stabilizing and coming back. And similarly is the story with MCX as well. A lot of optionalities, both in terms of forward and option contracts expected to get introduced, more participation expected to come their way, crude, natural gas, gold, silver. I think the volatility is expected to continue, and therefore the average daily turnover is expected to remain stable and probably on the higher side in select months as well. So I think both the platforms probably looking good.
Okay, all right, Mayuresh as well as Shrikant, thanks very much for joining in and giving us all of your perspective this evening. Well, let's get in Sudarshan. He's still with us. There's a slew of mid-cap earnings which really drove stock movements in today's trade. Sudarshan, tell us more.
So it was a good day for earnings with few exceptions, and in the list of exceptions was Thermex, which closed with a cut of almost 4%, and the reason was company has reported a weak set of earnings, mainly because of the execution challenges that company has been facing over the last few quarters. Revenue has slipped 5% and it was down 13% against the estimate. Margin too has slipped to 7% versus 10.6% year-on-year and against the estimate of 9.6%. The stock was down despite the positive commentary. Company is saying that will grow order books at more than 20% in FY26, and revenue and profit growth in FY26 will be higher than FY25, but it failed to boost the sentiment. Two stocks, Parag Milk and Kirloskar Oil, have seen healthy gains, and the reason, very strong set of earnings. So first talking about Parag Milk, revenue and EBITDA have seen double-digit growth. It was up somewhere in the range of 15 to 20%. Volume growth also was at 10% year-on-year, and its main products, ghee, cheese, paneer, have seen 23% growth in value terms and 14% in volume terms. Lastly, Kirloskar Oil, both revenue and profit were higher than Bloomberg estimates, and margin was largely in line. And B2B segment has seen a healthy growth led by both power generation and industrial segment, and B2B has seen a growth of 40%. Exports too was healthy, up 35%. Two more stocks that reported earnings at the last round of the trade, HL and Ashok Leyland. Both the stocks have closed lower. First, HL's margin has come around 23% in Q2. In H1 FY26, margin is 24% against company's FY26 target of 31%. So there is an expectation that company is going to miss the guidance on margin front. That's the reason stock was down. Ashok Leyland has reported a very strong set of earnings, but you'll ask the question why the stock has fallen. Remember, in November and going forward, base of the volumes will increase significantly, and there is an expectation that company may disappoint on the volume front going forward. That's the reason stock is down. Also, in 2025 so far, stock has outperformed and it was up 31%.
Thank you, Sudarshan, for explaining that so well. Get into a break. On the other side, we'll get you the top corporate voices that we spoke with on the show, on the channel today, and the key market events to watch out for. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Well, let's bring you all of the key events to watch out for in trade tomorrow. Upasana standing by with more details.
Well, first up, let us look at the key important results for tomorrow that we'll be closely tracking. Well, companies like Eicher Motors, Hero MotoCorp, Bharat Dynamics, Voltas, Page Industries, Jubilant Foodworks, Apollo Tyres, NBCC, LG Electronics India, all these counters will be reporting their Q2 FY26 numbers tomorrow. Now, on the IPO front, the IPO Fujiyama Power Systems opens for subscription tomorrow, while PhysicsWallah IPO closes for subscription tomorrow. Now, let us look at the global economic cues. UK will be reporting its Q3 GDP data. Europe, ECB economic bulletin will be out tomorrow. And lastly, coming to US, inflation data for the month of October will be out. So we'll be closely watching out for that as well. So all in all, looks like quite a power-packed day tomorrow.
Thank you very much for that. And that brings us to a close in this edition of Markets Forward. Thank you for watching.